Now we're going to record them here. Hey, everybody. I'm coming on live so I can start us out and invite friends. We have the wonderful Sue Bell Cobbs here today for an interview, and we're panning around. We got Joshua, Julia, taking it to the top, y'all. Who is that over in the corner beside you, Julie? He's hiding.
Never hide. We're not letting them off the hook.
No, we got, as usual, we're going to be on. You can just talk. This is actually just before people like to see what's going on. So I'm just going to be adding friends. I'm glad you came. I'm interested because you have something. You do something that's dear to my heart, and you like kids. You like to help children.
I surely do.
So I definitely want to hear about that. But
Landon, do we have a copy of the book here?
I can run out and grab
Would
one.
you mind?
I don't.
now that's one thing.
I would love to give, and I'm going to try to make it as hard for y'all as possible by forgetting everything. And so I've written a book, Lonnie.
Really?
So hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about
You can
it.
talk if you want to talk 2 hours. You got this. I promise you, we'll cut it up and make 2 parts. I promise you, I love it.
Yeah, well, you're kind. I was a juvenile judge at the age of 25.
Yes.
And believe me, that'll change you forever. And it certainly did. I mean, it absolutely did. But I have children, and working in the efforts of child advocacy, have been a huge part of my career as a judge.
I that's one thing that I would volunteer for anytime is children. I don't know what it is.
I've got a cause for you.
Let me know.
It's called Alabama Children First Foundation.
Really?
We provide the only full-time lobbyist for children.
Really?
And if you'll go online, AlabamaChildrenFirst.org, maybe it's .com.
Can you make a note of that, Julie?
AlabamaChildrenFirst.com. And we are, and it's been a passion of mine. I joined with a number of child advocates, and we created the foundation 20 years ago. And it's funded through private donations,
Really?
but we are the ones that crafted the legislation and created the Children First Trust Fund, which took money from the tobacco settlement and directed it toward programs for children.
Okay.
And then we have been shepherding the appropriation language through the legislature each year, but we work on graduated driver's license for kids, because so many kids are injured or killed in accidents, automobile accidents. We worked on that. The big concern right now is children's health insurance.
I was just going to ask you, did you want to talk about that?
Did we let folks in Washington, D.C. not understand that is a top priority?
We're forgetting that
Yes.
they work for us and not the way around.
Well, a lot of people don't know. When we formed the Children First Foundation, we had money through the National Tobacco Settlement we had ahead of the time gotten it directed toward programs for children. That because we had that money, it was Children First money that I and other child advocates helped draft the legislation. We were the ones that had the money so that Alabama could be the first state in the nation to draw down children's health insurance. And then we got the award, the top award in the nation for the largest decrease of medically uninsured children.
Wow.
And it was Children First money that did it. The state, but if the feds don't match it, the state has to come up with the in kind. There's
Right.
so much Alabama has left on the table in Washington D.C. because our state has failed to truly fund programs that we know would be beneficial to children.
Is there a personal reason? You know how some causes, every marathon is created by reason. What's your reason for going to to your organization?
You mean a personal reason why I got involved?
Yeah, is it because of a friend or
no,
you
totally
personally?
my job. Wow. When I became a judge at 25, I just could not grasp how in the world, that I was given to Otis and Therabelle in Evergreen, Alabama, and other children, were born into situations where their just basic needs were not being met. And when I became a judge at 25, I put that black robe on and started seeing horrific child abuse. I mean, children's the flesh was ripped off their back with extension cords. Horrible sexual abuse cases.
Yeah.
But poverty, and some parents that really wanted to do much better by their children, but because of poverty, they're unable to do it. And I just realized that the state, we just weren't doing our part. And so I started there locally as a judge, working to create programs, which I'd love to talk to you about. One of those called At-Risk Identification and Intervention Program.
Okay.
But anyway, we realized that what little program we put together here, we could put together there, that the state of Alabama should come with some solid, significant funding to help children. You know, Alabama has struggled with our quality of life index for children, and when we began Children First, we were 49th in overall well-being. Because of Children First and other advocates, we'd worked our way up to 44th, but now we're dropping in the other direction.
Well, I think I've invited about 100 friends, so I hopefully it'll get on, but we also have James Williams.
With you inviting them, let them know that you're going to be turning that off. And
Yes.
they need to become the not necessarily.
Yes, today, ladies and gentlemen, we want everybody to go to Not Necessarily Political. My producer here is demanding.
Go to Not Necessarily Political page. James, Lenny and James are about to turn their pages off for the show.
Our producer has spoken.
Not Necessarily Political with James Williams and Lonnie Malone. And today we are interviewing.
With 301. Okay, I'm
301.
going to make the mics hot.
Okay.
So once we start, Josh, go ahead and pull that up.
The mics will be hot. Yeah, Josh, take that off the stinger there.
We're going to get the taping.
I'll move it.
I'm going to record this so we will have audio. Oh, my goodness, baby. Where you been?
Well, you got Josh, we might can't turn it off today, Josh. We got a bunch of people on here. Can you go to Not Necessarily Political?
have talked to Dr. Don.
Yes, Landon has become my buddy.
That's
good. And I so appreciate you coming doing this.
Oh no, I'm glad to do it. I wish. I'm just glad it's worked out.
Oh, good.
Hey, and while we're here, let me turn this around.
Okay, good.
How do I turn this around?
Honey, this is about to be a party.
It is, right?
It's already
It
we
is.
gonna party it up.
In case y'all want to talk through priorities, I brought a list of our priorities. If y'all want to talk through that.
She can talk whatever she wants to talk about.
And we kinda give it
For
to
how long she
Get
wants to.
ready.
Yeah, we're going to conversate with her. Her topics.
I'm going to turn this around just to show you
Talk
all.
about the kids, grandkids.
I support
25
Danny
judge,
Carr.
believe that.
It's very important. I'm looking at the DA race, I'm looking at the governor's race, and I am looking at the sheriff's race. Those are three
I'm
of the
looking
most.
at Lonnie, and he need to quit talking because we're finna do the show. So y'all quit talking at Lonnie.
Nope, quit talking. Hey,
I'm looking at
Danny
Lenny
Carr.
James, I'm looking at Lenny James because I'm finna count down.
Danny Carr.
All right.
Okay, oh, we're going to sing.
How you doing, James?
Hey, this James, Karen, I'm sorry.
This is Karen.
Karen, this is,
Count down to
this
5 when we started.
yeah, I'm
This is Karen.
Hey,
This
this is,
All right. So
Josh.
I'm Karen.
Josh, you get in that corner. I'm finna hit the mic. So, with y'all, we're gonna get silent. Yeah.
He needs to come over here. You can sit right here. Yeah, just in case she needs you or anyone to do anything.
You need to let Landon sit by
The
you.
landing sits beside
No,
her. So,
Landon needs to sit by you in case you
yeah, so you need anything, he can be right there.
chairs, if y'all want it. He's finna get another one.
He's fine.
This is gonna be a great time, everybody. I feel it, and this is different today.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel it. This is.
Hey everyone.
I know, right? Everybody.
Go to
Everybody.
Not Necessarily Political's Facebook page. We're going to be streaming live from there. But knowing James, he's going to keep his going. But I ask that you guys pay attention to the Not Necessarily Political page today, okay?
Because you're going to get information about the Governor's Forum. We have a meet and greet at 5:30 that you're interested in. There is a fee for it because of what we're trying to do. And also at 6:30 at 5 on February 19th, that is a actual
We are
event
hot on
time.
there. I can always edit that out. I said I'll be the short guy today.
Oh, well, you can be over here.
No, look, man.
You're the leader, sir. You're the
Oh
leader.
my God.
Yeah.
That's why I was checking. Remember, I was checking those chairs. That's why. This is the one.
That's the little low chair.
Every time I sit in, I'm like, oh. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Slide it over. I'll sit in that one. You know, I'm sure it's not gonna bother me.
Oh, excellent.
There you go.
Okay, Josh.
CLP plans Monday 1 a.m. vote to end shutdown, so we won't go in the full $6 billion, huh? Every day of the shutdown.
All right, you ready, man?
All righty.
Down, guys.
Start on y'all.
Dan, quiet. Please silence your cell phones.
Yeah, go on top. Oh, yeah, please go on top. You ready?
And 5, 4, 3, 2,
Good afternoon, and we'd like to welcome everybody to another edition of Not Necessarily Political. I'm James Williams.
And I'm Lonnie Malone.
The Secret Teller.
The voice and the visionary.
But we have a great show today, man. I'm really impressed with our guest today. She's been in politics, looks like all of her life. 25 years old as a judge. You just got out of school, right?
I've been a lawyer 3 weeks.
Wow.
That is deep.
I'm interested now.
Already.
Fascinating story.
But we have Miss Sue Bell Cobb in the studio with us. She's a Democratic candidate for governor.
That's right, James.
And you were formerly a Chief Justice. You were the head lady.
I was.
Wow.
I was the first female elected Chief Justice of the Alabama Supreme Court.
So we're like in here with living history. Right?
Living history.
And I'll be honest, there are some other firsts. I was the first former president of the Juvenile Judges Association.
Right.
Probably the first person that had been a juvenile judge for 13 and a half years to be Chief Justice. Which is why children and family issues are still my top priority.
And before we even get into all the whole political stuff, let's just talk about Sue Bell, the grandmother, the mother.
That's right.
3 kids,
I did.
4 grandkids.
Yes.
All right. Tell us about it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, I'm originally from Evergreen, Alabama.
Wow.
That's my home.
Okay.
And I was very fortunate to meet Bill Cobb, who's the love of my life.
Outstanding.
And when I married Bill, I inherited his 2 boys, who he had custody of. So we are a blended family, like a lot of your listeners.
Right, absolutely.
And so I inherited Bo and Andy, whom I dearly love. Bo is in the FBI, yes, and our son Andy works for the American Cancer Society. Beautiful. And then about 6 years later, we had Caitlin, and I shouldn't even talk about my age, but if you ever want to know how old I am, just ask how old Caitlin is and add 40 years to it, because I was 40 years old when I had her.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm the same way,
Yeah. And so she's God's greatest blessing to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure.
Absolutely.
Literally, she grew up in the judicial building.
Right.
Because I was the first, and I guess only, appellate court judge or justice to have a baby while serving as an appellate judge.
Wow. I think that's pretty cool.
So literally, she grew up in the judicial building.
Wow.
And has been, anyway, she's been a great blessing to me. Right. Caitlin's just graduated from Alabama and been accepted to law school at Alabama, so we're very proud about that.
Wow.
Okay.
But I'll tell you something that a lot of people would not know about me. I'm a Democrat. Now, folks know that.
Right, they know that.
They don't know that I own 2 donkeys.
Really?
I own 2 miniature
Come on.
donkeys.
I wasn't ready for that.
This is made up. Come on. Tell the truth.
Miniature donkeys?
I should have waited for you to say, well, tell us something that people don't know about. I'm already just laying out there.
She's like you should tell secrets.
I tell secrets, man.
I mean, I hate to tell you, James, I'm an open book. It's
I love it,
terrible.
though. Transparency is everything.
I'm an open book.
Right.
But we have 2, we ride horses.
So what do you
We have
call them?
horses.
What are their names?
Josie and JJ.
How did you get that name?
Well, they were named before I got them. My daughter rides and we go around to horse shows, and so her retired horse, we needed something, and so one of my neighbors gave us the donkeys to help babysit, the
Real
other horse.
miniature, like
really,
real
and
miniature.
y'all, their backs are broad. And during this recent snow, we had a lot of snow this past week. Y'all didn't. Y'all had a thread of it here in Birmingham.
Oh, y'all got it all the way.
We got 4 inches.
Wow.
Y'all should have seen those donkeys. They had snow packed up on their backs.
Wow.
And I've got pictures of icicles on their eyelashes and on their bellies as the water, it was dripping off.
Oh, you got to put this on the page.
She got to email us that.
Yeah, you got
it.
No, I got to have it.
And when they bray, when you walk out and call to them and they bray, it just puts a smile on your face. It's hilarious.
Wow.
Because believe me, they are fat. They have not guarded their girlish figures. That's for sure. They are
I totally can agree. Well, I guess we can get into the meat and potatoes about this thing. But, here we like to just have a conversation. But what will be your core issues? I mean, what would we expect?
No, she wants to go back even further to where she's from and everything like that.
Well, she told me she's from Evergreen.
No, even when she said something, you was doing something when you were younger that you wanted to talk about, right?
Well, I mean, I can talk about lots of different things. I grew up in Evergreen, Alabama,
right?
Which is a small town. You know, a lot of folks know about Evergreen because it's on the interstate,
right?
And
65,
65,
right?
And so everybody's gone through Evergreen at one time or another, headed to Mobile or the beach or New Orleans or something.
Absolutely.
You know, and when I became a judge, I had been in law school, and do y'all remember when Senator Heflin got the judicial article passed that unified the courts?
Right.
Alabama was at the cutting edge of judicial reform in the United States because of Senator Heflin, a Democrat, because he unified the court system, and he did away with justices of the peace.
Wow.
Because up until that time, unless you were in a city, for a juvenile case, you would have a non-lawyer resolving juvenile cases.
Wow.
You had non-lawyers, or lots of times probate judges, that were ruling on your traffic cases. Well, you know, a DUI now is a big deal.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
And you need a law-trained judge. Well, it was because of that reform effort that you had to be a resident of every county, and the judicial article created district judges. And so you had to have a law degree, and you had to be a resident of the county. And so the gentleman that had that position stepped down because of a variety of reasons, and then several people wanted the position, but I was able to be appointed. And then I had to run immediately thereafter, and I was able, one of the men that had moved into the county, wasn't the hometown person like I was, had to run against me, and I was able to win. And I'll tell y'all a funny story. I tell people when we were out on the campaign trail, you know, my dad was the first person that was like, you know, when I told him I wanted to go to law school, because he said, "You're not going into politics, are you?" And I, "Oh no, Daddy. I mean, I could teach law. I mean, I could work in it, and you know, I could, you know, no, of course not." Well, who's the first person driving the pickup truck for me to go door to door? Who? My dad.
Dad's love.
So we'd be driving in that pickup truck. And literally, I mean, before the truck stopped, because, you know, in Evergreen, we didn't have big radio. You know, we had a little radio station that was on a little bit of the time. We had a little TV, a little newspaper, but there's no media, you know. So you're going door to door. So the truck would barely stop. And I open the door, and then I'm jumping out and going, and then I call it looking around. I call it casing the joint, but you know what it was? It's looking for bad dogs. That's what I call casing the joint. I mean, I'm looking to and fro going, okay, because you're out in the country, you know, there's no burglar alarms, right? And so I'm going around, and I'm looking, I'm going, and all of a sudden, I go knock on the door, and there's no one there. And so I'm going down the steps, and all of a sudden I hear my dad scream, "Run, hon, run!" And I peel off, and I have got a Doberman at my heels. Ooh. Daddy throws open the door. I jump into the truck. He slams it, and the Doberman is literally circling, chewing on the bumper and the tires. Yeah. Wow. And I tell people, do y'all know how I became the first female Chief Justice in the history of the state of Alabama? Because my daddy yelled, Run!
Before we go on,
that may be a slogan.
Producers, exactly. You might want to keep that one. John, we want to move you a little bit over here so we can get you in this shot. I'm sorry, gentlemen.
That way I can get all y'all.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the other reason is because, did that get it?
Did I get it?
Did that do it?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Is that the other reason then is because people throughout the state said, "Run, hon, run."
Right.
And I ran. I was able to beat the Republican incumbent, and he outspent me 2, and the Republican Party spent another 2. I got outspent 2 to 3 to 1, and I still was able to become Chief Justice, even though I was outspent, dramatically. And it's because of the love of the court system and understanding that we could better serve people. Right. You know, the courts can do so much to help. Absolutely. And judges are the the stakeholder, the gatekeepers are the most expensive services in state government.
Absolutely.
And get to see the problems that people have. And that's why I'm running for governor, is because I've tried as a judge to fix the problems.
Right.
A governor with bold, energetic, visionary leadership, we can change this state forever.
What would be the first problem you face?
The first thing, really, truly, is the fact we don't have enough money to fund the direly needed services that are so essential in the state.
Absolutely.
You don't have the most overcrowded prisons in the world. You don't have, you're only, for instance, meeting 28% of 4-year-old kindergarten need.
Right.
Why aren't we meeting it all? Why aren't we, we have the fewest number of state troopers. We have, our teachers are paid less than Georgia teachers. We can just go on and on.
Right.
Our infrastructure, 20% of our bridges are considered to be obsolete. Counties are looking and trying to evaluate which roads to put back to dirt. I address people and look at them and say, listen, our
Like
folks,
red dirt?
Yeah, dirt.
Oh my God.
Y'all.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They are literally today in some of our counties fewer paved roads and more dirt roads.
Wow.
Because the counties do not have the money to maintain the roads. Well, so what's the biggest problem? We've got to do something to help people believe in those that they are electing, and that we offer some ideas about how we can fund direly needed programs and services in Alabama.
Lottery will come right off the top of our head, because I think that is like the main talk. They were saying education lottery at first, but would you make it a total education lottery, or would you use that for also bridges and roads?
James, thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
I think I was probably, a lottery the idea has been around for a long time, right? Since Don Siegelman. It's been around a long time, and before that.
Absolutely.
But we need to learn from those lessons of why it failed. And we need to look at the fact that the people, Lonnie, they want a lottery. Right. The people of Alabama think it's stupid. They think it's just plain dumb that we don't have a lottery. Right. But I'm calling it, so Sue Bell Cobb is calling it the Lifelong Learner Lottery. When the studies are showing, and these are 2-year-old numbers, that we would raise approximately $300 million from the lottery each year. If your listeners help me be elected governor, when Sue Bell Cobb becomes governor, the lottery, I'm going to call a special session immediately within the first general session, and going to put the lottery on that for the legislature. And I would require that the money be spent in the following 3 ways. 3 prongs. 1, child care and fully fund 4-year-old kindergarten. 2, career tech, where we put state-of-the-art vocational training within the grasp and reach of every single child.
Did you say vocational?
Vocational career tech.
Thank you. Keyword.
Within the grasp of every single child in public school in Alabama. And the 3rd prong is meeting the gap for Pell Grants. We will be creating, with this plan, thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs. We'll be telling the world Alabama is open for business. Come, because we've got the workers. We know they love their families. They want to support their families. They needed the training, and our state should provide it. But what this plan will mean is that every single child in Alabama will have an opportunity to succeed when it's time to be in 1st grade. Right. And I can talk more about that, how that would work. The second is that I want every single child at 14 and 15 to be asked the question, do you want a traditional university education, or would you like a high-paying job? And then we put that within their reach. And then 3rd is the gap for Pell Grants. So whether they're 18 and they want to be certified now as a pipe welder, maybe in high school they were certified as a sheet welder, or maybe it's robotics, electronics, now they want to learn how to fix robots, or maybe they've lost a job at 50 or 55 or become disabled. Now they can go back and learn about computers if they qualify for Pell Grants. I'm telling you, this is going to be essential to our future. That it's going to be transformational for our state. It's going to create thousands and thousands of jobs, and it's because of the increased jobs, the increased revenue from existing tax that we have now into education trust fund. I'm convinced that we'll have enough money for a significant pay increase for our teachers. And early reading initiative. Are y'all familiar with early reading initiative?
Absolutely.
For struggling readers in elementary school. It's the nationally acclaimed program.
Right.
Lonnie and James, are y'all aware it only meets 10% of the need?
10?
Nationally
Yes, it's low.
acclaimed
Wow.
program. Only meet 10%. When your listeners help elect me, Governor, we are going to fully fund that with the revenue that's going to be created from all the jobs that are a direct result of the lottery. And the beautiful part about this plan is, one is that the wonderful, amazing announcement about the car manufacturer, Toyota and Mazda, right, both combined in Limestone County, that's greatly benefiting Madison County and Limestone County. This plan I've just offered to you, it is going to create hundreds and in places thousands of jobs in every single county in Alabama. Everyone is going to benefit.
Right.
From the increased number of jobs, and we will have a workforce that will then be so attractive to businesses to move into our state.
Now, one of the questions I would ask about the lottery, and I've asked both other candidates that we've interviewed, what will you do for Birmingham? Because
Jefferson County,
Birmingham,
let's say regional wise.
That's regional. It was put up, I think, the last time it was the top 20% of schools, which is not going to be necessarily Birmingham city schools or the outer areas that are not, Hoover, Mountain Brook. What would that lottery do for those schools? Will it be equally distributed, or it has to be,
It's going to be per child.
Okay.
What I mean though is that it'll be per child. So y'all have a greater population. You're going to have your fair share.
Right.
But what it's going to do right now for your 4-year-olds, just think about this. You're on a lottery. I mean, you're on a lottery for 4-year-old kindergarten.
Exactly.
Right? Because we're only meeting 28% of the need.
Right.
And that's statewide. So every single child, every family that has 4-year-olds, they will have now free college-educated teachers who will be teaching their 4-year-olds. That is going to be $6, $7, $8, some places $10,000 of extra money that's going to be in those young families' pockets. That they are then going to go spend on new cars, fixing their existing cars, fixing their house, buying a house. I mean, it's real dollars. Can you imagine having every family, and it's going to be, we've got to get the exact the child population that meeting the need is going to be. It's going to be significant dollars that's going to be in folks' pockets that they can go spend. And all of that extra revenue, then streams into Education Trust Fund. That's why I say there will be, with those increased jobs, also with tech. Just think about tech.
Absolutely.
We're only meeting 50% of the career tech need. Only 50.
Wow.
When we max out now and completely meet the need for career tech, we have now created, think of the jobs, and that's in every single county.
Yes.
And not to mention the industry that we're going to attract.
Think of the deter crime also.
Exactly.
I really do.
You're perfect on that.
Right.
That's exactly right. So what will happen on the career tech is that recidivism, and it's at about 13%. It was a good bit higher. It will go to nothing. I'm going to say 1%.
Yeah.
Think about those 14 and 15-year-olds when they're told, you can be certified in electronics, you can fix robots, you can be,
program gaming. Since some people love
That's
gaming.
right. That's
Right.
right. And so dropout will go to nothing, and crime is going to go down.
Right.
Who is getting in trouble? Folks don't start out committing violent crime.
No.
They start out at 16, 17 with time on their hands, no hope, no job. We're going to change that. It's going to be transformational, gentlemen.
Right.
It's going to be transformational. Now, here's the deal.
Okay.
Y'all forgive me for button.
No, go ahead.
All right.
You're fine.
It's one thing to propose it. It's something else to have a plan to make it happen.
Perfect.
That's the difference in me and I have great respect for, but my other opponents in this race.
Right.
They're great folks. They're super wonderful people. But I truly believe that I've got the record to show that not only can I come up with these great ideas that are based on data, based on best evidence, but also the real thing that people can really get excited about.
Absolutely.
But I can go county to county and sell it. That's what I did with Children First. When we established Children First,
You established children.
And that's what I was asking about earlier about that she has some type. This is really important. Right
That
here.
I didn't know.
Yes, myself and about Ann Flory, who's with Leadership Birmingham, John Hall, who is a phenomenal lawyer here in Birmingham, Jimmy Fry, used to be a district attorney. Y'all know Chief Johnny Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chief
Yes, I know
Johnson
him
is
well.
on our Children First Board.
Really?
Priscilla Dunn, Senator Priscilla
Right.
Dunn is
Bro,
on our.
Mr. Dunn's wife.
And Grover,
Right.
Judge Dunn's right. She's on it, and we worked, 20 years ago, actually probably 21 now,
Right.
to form, because we realized that the services were just not being, they just weren't being met.
And you actually, she took my question. She's good. Because Montgomery is Republican, and we all know this. And you just said it. So you think that you would be able to go in Montgomery and sell it?
You
Because
mean the folks in the legislature? Because Montgomery County
Absolutely.
itself is very Democratic.
well, we the House, the
Right. Let me tell you how we'll do it.
Okay.
First of all, y'all get me elected. I'm going to call a special session. You have an organizational session where they get started, trying to get everything organized, and then they give the governor a couple months to get the budgets, because you have to submit a budget. During that time, I'm going to be going county to county, and painting a picture and showing everybody how many jobs. This is how many jobs. And this isn't, pie in the sky. This
Right.
is absolute. This is how many teachers
Fact.
to meet your need. This is how many support staff. This is how many career teachers. This is how much we believe ultimately you'll get right now, and how many jobs we think will come in, over time when the workforce, is developed and trained.
Right.
And then I'm committing to you. I will personally lobby every legislator. If they will not come to me, I will go to them. I'm not waiting and summoning people to the governor's office.
Right.
I will do just like I did with Children First and just like I did with juvenile justice reform. I went over there to the legislature, and I didn't care who they were or what party. I painted a picture that we can all believe in. Right. And these are things that are not, this is not divisive issues. These are things that we can believe in. We want good things for our children and families. The second thing is being able to go and gather up grassroots folks that will get involved in citizen engagement. My election is going to be the result of citizen engagement. And everybody that's excited now about the fact that we were able to get Doug Jones elected are going to be excited in 2018 when they elect Sue Bell Cobb and other Democrats to help turn the state and get more balance in Montgomery. Then what happens if we fail? What happens if I'm not able to convince? Because Republicans will probably still have the majority, right?
Right. Right.
Is I call another special session and we do it again. And then I call another special session and we do it again. And I publish back home where they are. All right, Representative so-and-so from Marshall County,
Yes.
he voted no. This is how many jobs he said no to.
Right.
And then we're going to look at why he voted no. Right. So when I tell y'all, I'm not giving up time with my family, which I cherish every second, to not get something big done for the people of Alabama. Because I've been in those courtrooms day in and day out, and I have seen untold numbers of hurting people. And talent is universal. Opportunity is not.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Opportunity should be available to all of us. And, I've said it many times, and others have said it, about that a rising tide raises all ships. Mm-hmm. I believe that. We're all safer. We all have a higher quality of life when we meet the needs of needy children, when we meet the needs of needy children and families. We all benefit. But you know what you need to add to that? A rising tide raises all ships if they're not anchored down.
Right. Exactly.
And lack of education, lack of pre-K, child care. I left out child care. Mm-hmm. When we meet the need on K4, 4-year-old kindergarten, we've got to help folks 0 to 3. Because when you take the 4-year-olds out, 0 to 3 is more expensive. So I want at least $30 or $35 million of the lottery money to go to help working families on a sliding scale. So if you're rich, not going to be helped too much, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're working and having a hard time, this is going to be transformational.
Now, you are recorded now. You sure you want to say that?
You want me to say it again? Rich people don't need any help, Lonnie.
Well, I understand. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But let me tell you something else. We are all going to be benefited from the lifelong learner lottery. And what we're going to be gained by seeing government actually work.
Exactly.
Actually see somebody who doesn't have skeletons in her closet, I mean, I've been vetted and vetted and re-vetted. You know, I'm an open book. I've lived my life to a higher standard because when you make decisions over people's lives, that's an honor and a privilege. And all you have is respect to the people. And if people don't have respect for you, they are not going to respect your decisions. So I tried to live so people could believe, could believe in me. And I'm going to be able to go county to county and sell it. Do you see why?
I already
I
tell.
believe it.
Selling me right now, right?
So what, your first 100 days, what would that look like?
The first 100 days, you're going to see me in 67 counties.
All right.
And that'll be the first 2 months.
Okay.
There'll be an organizational session for 10 days, and I'll be in Montgomery for part of that time.
Right.
And then I will be in 67 counties laying out how many jobs are going to be created by the Lifelong Learner Lottery and what an impact it's going to have on each of our lives. I'm going to be assembling everybody. I'm going to be business leaders and educational leaders and everyone that we can, because this is not, I can't do it by myself.
Right.
It is going to take the media. It's going to take all of us working together because what I want to do, and this is going to be one of the hardest decisions, when we write the package of bills to show this is how the money's going to be, this is how the money will be spent on the 3 prongs that I just laid out for you.
Right.
I believe we need to have a special election. Why? Because otherwise we have to wait 2 years.
You're right.
I believe that the citizen engagement, the level of citizen engagement, that why your show is so important,
Right.
why it's so important, is that people understand this is a lot more important than politics, right? And that's y'all's title, really.
Absolutely.
Right?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily politics.
necessarily. Right.
This is life.
Absolutely.
Y'all, I want to make Alabama the envy of the South.
I agree.
I want our children to want to live here.
Yes.
Not just feel like they have to.
Right. Look at us as a place to come and retire.
Yes.
We got to get a 21st century identity, don't we?
Right, we do. And I want our children, like I say, I want them to want to live here, not feel obligated to.
Right.
Because
So I have a quick question.
Yes,
It's
sir.
a different kind of question. Why Democrat? When you're in a Republican state that can pretty much almost guarantee you a chance to be governor if you ran Republican, like they did Maddox, they went to him.
Right.
Why not be Republican and just win and then do this? Why Democrat? Because you're stepping out of the box, and that's what I like.
But
I like that.
Unlike Mayor Maddox, who's not run as a Democrat before, I've been a Democrat since I first ran for office. And I've run and won statewide. This will be my 4th race. I was the last Democrat to win statewide. So I proved when things were not quite as bad brand-wise for Republicans, with Mike Hubbard, with,
Absolutely.
Governor Bentley, and with Roy Moore. And then I have to answer it again. If the Republican Party elects someone and picks someone like Roy Moore, they are not going to want a Sue Bell Cobb. Right? Yeah. I believe that toxic partisanship, having said that, toxic partisanship is killing us.
Right.
I don't make a decision as a judge for wearing a robe for 30 years. I never made a single decision based on party. I made a decision on what I determined the facts to be, and then I applied the law as I determined that law to be, as best as I could figure it out. And I applied law that I didn't necessarily agree with, but I believe in the rule of law. So no, it never. I had lots of folks urge me to run as a Republican because they would say, "Well, it's going to take a Republican to win. It's going to take you have to be a Republican to win." I disagree with that. I won in 2006. I beat an incumbent Republican then, and I'm convinced that I can beat Kay Ivey now.
Statewide, right?
It's statewide, and I believe that I know I can beat Kay Ivey now.
Yeah, because I'm not Democrat, but I voted since Bill Clinton. As I've said before, every race I voted Democrat because I go and look at the people and the party. So I'm interested, and I was interested in Kay Ivey, to be honest, because I figured she would shake something up. She's different. This is before I knew you were running.
Definitely different.
She was.
I just want to say that.
She's definitely different.
Yeah.
We're not politically correct. I forgot. We forgot to tell you.
Yeah,
but I was interested because she was different. This is before you again. Right. So now,
she's the more supporter.
She was and when I was like, you are so loyal to a party that you're willing to just put anybody in to say you have that bothered me because if you would get up here and say, I'm going to put Democrat in no matter what. I'm going to put James in no matter what. That bothers me because that's not the way the political system is. But by you saying that you never voted or you never did your job as a party, you just did it because of the facts, the issues, and concerns of the people. I'm impressed by that, and I heard that part. If I don't hear anything else you said today, I heard that
that's
part.
That's the part you like,
and that's the part I like because.
But I mean it.
Yeah.
And I hope so. I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold
I got
you
an
to
issue
that. Right
I rarely hear spoken about on the campaign trail. It's kind of near and dear to me because I do a lot for my mom, and she's a senior here.
I did for my mother as well.
Well, I have to. It's
right.
but that's your
He's a mama's boy.
Mama's man.
Well, we say we're a mama's boy, but she know we're men.
Right. But what can we do to help our seniors? You know, the price they're paying here for medicine is outrageous.
What about medical marijuana?
You know, government assistance is dwindling for seniors, and what could you do as governor to help change that in the state?
We've got to get more economic viability in our communities to be able to do anything. We truly do.
Right.
Obviously, most of our seniors are entitled to Medicare.
Right.
You know, Medicare.
Right.
And so they at least covered, there. But you're right. I mean, we don't do near as much as we should, and there are many things that need to be done.
Give you a prime example though, because you may hear about this later. It's just like my mom is on dialysis right now.
Oh my goodness! I'm so sorry.
Oh no, well, she's living. You know, last year she wasn't supposed to be here. She's here, so we're satisfied.
Right.
But they actually charge her $74 every visit, and this has to happen 3 times a week.
Wow.
On a woman that's on a fixed income.
Right.
That's incredible. Why in the world would you charge her? So, it's just something I want to throw out there, and I'm hoping everybody's listening about that because that actually if I have to pay it for, I will.
Getting to Medicaid, Alabama's Medicaid is the leanest, meanest in the nation.
Absolutely.
I mean, you are, and I hope I'm close. It's like $2,200 for one person income.
Absolutely.
I mean, to be eligible, that's for a year. And for a family, I think it's like $3,300 or something like that.
Give or take a few, yeah.
Give or take 100 or two. Yeah. And Alabama has the leanest, meanest Medicaid program in the nation.
Yes.
And we literally, that's one of the reasons why I'm running. I mean, I truly, having cared for my mother and my father, I'm going to be honest with y'all, I did a lot of riding up the roads to Birmingham, to UAB. With my parents, and to get the best care that I could possibly get for them. But when your parents get to a certain age, that's not what they need anymore.
Right.
They don't need to be in a car for 2.5 hours.
Absolutely.
They need it
Absolutely.
at home.
Absolutely.
Right now, 74% of Alabama's rural hospitals and community hospitals are in the red. Our Medicaid is only one CEO in Northeast Alabama told me that Medicaid right now is only meeting 53% of the actual cost.
Wow.
53%. So they literally are losing money, and but for an endowment to try to keep things whole, hospitals are not going to be able to stay open. And we've got to deal with the issue of how and what to do to save Medicaid. And I'm not convinced that our present administration is going to do that.
Can you, looking at the shutdown, because I know they're saying in Alabama, if the shutdown continues, about next month we'll be broke with dealing with the finance. Can you work with the other side of the aisle? Can you be bipartisan enough to work to get things done so that we won't deal with anything like this again?
I've actually even been criticized for the fact that I've reached out to the other side because it's not about party to me. I mean, I've had Democrats criticize me even during this campaign for reaching out to the other side. And
for talking to people who got criticized.
Right.
Trying to get something done, you got to criticize.
Yes.
Sounds like us, doesn't it?
Sounds like us.
And because it really is not about party to me, and it never has been. And there are Republicans that are not nearly as partisan as some.
Right.
Right. And I'm hoping that this election of 2018 sends a signal to everyone that the people of Alabama are less concerned about party and more concerned about people working together to get good responses and good results for their families. I mentioned to someone that our parents' generation was known as what? The greatest generation?
Mm-hmm. Baby boomers.
Right.
Baby boomers.
What are we going to be known as?
Exactly.
Sound like it already.
Exactly.
If our parents were known as the greatest generation,
Right.
what is our generation going to be known as?
Right.
And that's my goal.
We're almost forgotten, though, if you think about it.
Well, it's kind of, I put this on the site, and I said a legacy for Alabama would be what we're doing today plus what happened yesterday. Instead of just saying, okay, this is our legacy, what happened yesterday, and forget what you guys are doing today. We got to find some way of combining it, because actually with the Doug Jones race, we saw it. Finally, everybody was voted, in the same block, and that was amazing. It was a great feeling for Alabama.
Yes.
And we don't want that feeling to stop. We don't want to leave
Because
Alabama.
the nation was watching, James.
And
we came through.
I believe they're going to watch this year as well. I
think they will.
2018 is just as
Well,
important.
it is.
We have sheriff, we have state reps, we have judges, we have county commissioners, we have governors and lieutenant governors. We have a lot going on this year.
It's a lot of decisions.
I've been asked by reporters and others already about what will it mean for Alabama to have two women running against each other.
That's what I see they're building up now. Ivy versus Big.
And I really do believe women of color.
Right.
Women of color came through with this Doug Jones election. They had the highest percentage of turnout.
Yeah.
98% of them voted for Doug Jones. They got out and worked.
Yeah.
And they worked because they knew that this was Alabama's real opportunity to send someone. And Doug is going to do a good job. But we, as Democrats, have got to defend him when he does reach for the middle.
Well, he's going to have to. He's going to have to. And you just got to be logical about it. But I don't want you to forget the stat, and I always put it out there.
Yes.
Men finally voted.
They did, didn't they?
This is an important thing that people don't realize in Alabama. 94% of black men came out and voted, and rarely do we ever come out in those numbers. Something else that we have to remember, that there's reform going on, so felons can now vote, which is increasing numbers. That's why I tell Lonnie, what we're doing here is so important, because we don't want to tell you who to vote for, but we want you to make the most informed decision as possible.
I do believe that endorsements are going to mean less and less, because people are excited and engaged now, and that they're going to make their own decision.
And they should.
Let me throw a very difficult question out there, because I'm the bad guy on this.
You're always the bad guy.
I asked James Field the same thing. I hate to throw your opponent's name out there, because what will you do? Because like he said, 94%.
He's a good guy.
94% black men voted, women as well. What will you do specifically for black people? Not minorities, not people of color, but black people.
Let's just say in Jefferson County at least.
Jefferson County, black people. I personally want to know, because we didn't get a chance to ask President Obama. We didn't ask any other governor. So I'm asking every governor candidate gubernatorial candidate, what will you do for black people?
And please explain this. When we ask that question, it's not saying that, okay, well, you're just going to take care of a certain group.
Exactly.
No, every group has to be taken care of. We understand. Everything is all on all sides, so we're okay with that. And
it's nothing. It's nothing racial. It's specific, because we're black men, and we got out and voted, and we knocked on doors. We specifically ran rallies, hosted for Doug Jones. So we're willing to do that for candidates. But what will you do for us? Because we're left out, basically.
Well, let me say first. Let me answer that question in two ways. One is that when we put the emphasis with the lottery and the other things that we're going to do to create jobs, that's going to help everybody. I mean, that's going to help us all. And so the lottery, in my estimation, is going to be, the way we're going to spend the money, is going to have a huge impact on everyone. But the way that I have designed it to be spent is it's going to help those that need it the most. All right, so that takes care of that. The second thing, let me say that I am a believer, because as having been a judge, as I've mentioned to you before, and having a courtroom's kind of like an emergency room. If there's something wrong going on in a community, it kind of makes it into the courtroom, makes it into the emergency room at a hospital, right? I truly believe that the poor public policy decisions in our state are in large part because of underlying racism. I believe that.
Because 3 prisons being built is definitely racism.
I believe that. And I believe that where the white leaders particularly don't own it. Right. They don't talk about it. They don't own it. And as governor, I promise you, I'm not going to be that kind of leader.
Right.
Because I see, as a child advocate, now y'all, I've paid my dues
Absolutely.
in the fields of child advocacy. I mean, I've received a Lifetime Achievement Award for prevention of child abuse and neglect. I mean, I've gotten the Children's Voice Award. I mean, I can go on and on. But I have always been frustrated because of some of the antiquated public policy that's there.
Right.
That's there in our Constitution
Right.
and other places that has prevented us from being the state that we should be. And I'm promising you that I will be engaging in those conversations. And I specifically want to talk to our ministers.
Ah.
I want our ministers.
When you want to talk to them, I will set it up in I want to be
You
in
got
that
one
room.
right here. That's
I
that's
wanna
like
be in that
the
room.
camera here.
I want our white ministers
Absolutely.
to explain to me what they're doing in their pulpits.
Absolutely.
To talk about the concept of that God loves us all. We are all created equal in His eyes. God does not have favorites.
Right.
No respect of person.
No respect of persons. I mean, you know, what is it? 1 John 4:20. You know, that if you love God and hate your brother, then you're a
Exactly.
liar.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And we need to be talking about that. And when we don't, we're really hurting us all. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's from my heart.
It did. And actually, I'm kind of chiming in on what Lonnie said. Usually, guys like he and I will help people, and they will go great distances and probably become an elected official. But one thing elected officials do traditionally is once they win, they leave. Mm-hmm. We never see them again. No. They never call again. You won't answer a call. And we just want people to continue to be people. It's not that you owe us anything, because we're not here.
But I'm going to need you. Do you know why?
Absolutely.
To pass the lottery.
Absolutely.
And to get the other things done that I want done. To pass medical marijuana. I want us to have medical marijuana.
Right.
I mean, there's other sentencing reform. I worked on juvenile justice reform and sentencing reform. And when you ask, like, what have you done, perhaps specifically, that's had an impact on the black community, the African American community, I helped write and championed juvenile justice reform in 2008. Because I was Chief Justice, aside from the budget for the courts, which was my job to make sure the courts had enough money to stay open, I made the passage of the Juvenile Justice Reform Act of 2008 our major priority. I myself went and lobbied. I myself went and lobbied at the legislature to encourage, to educate, to beg, to plead,
Right.
to do. I'm not too
Right.
proud.
Right.
And because of that, at that time, 252, a lot of them young men of color, were locked up in DYS and had never committed a crime.
Yeah.
Wow.
They had run away from home. They were ungovernable. They were truant from school.
Mm-hmm.
They then were put on probation, and then because of drugs, because of problems at home, because of lack of transportation, because of lack of an adult, having a positive impact in their lives, or having to mom or dad having to work 2 or 3 jobs, they're raising themselves, so to speak. Literally, judges were putting them in jail, in detention, because they're mad at them, And so when we passed the Juvenile Justice Reform Act, that stopped that. They could not do it. And then I talked to the judges, and I said, listen, guys, we are taking the policy of do no harm. You are not going to lock up these young people just because you're mad at them. We cannot help them all, but let's at least don't hurt them by locking up non-violent offenders just because their aunt or their grandmother or their mom or dad can't come pick them up by 6:30. And
they lock them up for that.
Yeah, because they're, and so
it's easy. They don't have the resources
so
to get them out.
My probation officers were really doing the work, the hard work. I established the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative. It was a Casey family Foundation program. We brought them into Alabama. They heard I was here. They said, if you'll ask, I'll come. I asked, they came. Because of that work, because of the Juvenile Justice Reform Act, because of me looking at the judges and saying, y'all are coming to this meeting, you're going to learn the new code, you're going to learn that you can't just lock up these kids, unless they're violent, and that's the only thing there is to do. And because of that, gentlemen, we have a 60% decline in the number of children in lockup.
Excellent.
And juvenile crime went down.
Excellent.
And juvenile crime went down.
Yeah.
Because when we widen that net,
Absolutely.
you lock up a child that's a nonviolent, low-risk child, and they are a child. And if a child's in trouble, it's a family problem. It's not just a child problem.
Right.
When you did that, you gave them an opportunity to be associated with folks that were much more serious issues and problems, and the chance of them getting in trouble inside lockup then exacerbated their opportunities, to get in trouble and to get locked up.
Right.
So you are going to reduce crime.
Yes, sir.
You're going to help children.
Yes,
you're
sir.
going to
Yes,
reduce
sir.
jobs. You're going to and get involved with marijuana.
I almost want to call her Aunt Sue. You know what
Oh,
I'm saying? Like, she not
You
remind
call
you
me
of my
whatever
aunt.
you want.
I mean, seriously.
Just call me.
Rarely do you meet people that are just warm and genuine, and you actually feel it.
Oh, thank you.
You know, I work off a spirit on the inside.
Well, gentlemen, I'm running for the right reason.
Okay.
I am running for the right reason. I am running for the right reason. You haven't seen what I've seen. If you had been where I have been, and if you had seen what I had seen, and then sit on the Court of Criminal Appeals for 12 years and see the wasted human capital that came in front of us day in and day out because people were not back home doing what they should be doing. The state wasn't providing the programs that they should provide that could have turned these folks around. Go, if you want to know about Sue Bell Cobb, you go to the Book of the States of 2010 and read The Power of Fixing People Rather Than Filling Prison.
Yes.
I wrote that article in 2010 for the Council of State Governments. And that's why my drug court initiative, when I first became Chief Justice, I joined with Judge Pete Johnson, who's your drug court judge. Me.
I used to love Mr. Pete. He was
Isn't he
cool guy.
great?
Yeah.
And he's still doing drug court work
Right.
in Tuscaloosa now.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay.
But and you have a wonderful drug court judge, here in Birmingham now.
Absolutely.
But why drug court? Why drug court? Because drug court, I keep saying the word, I've used it too many times today, but transformative.
Yeah.
Drug court gives people an opportunity to put 12 months together drug-free,
Right.
And to be a productive citizen. And that's what they needed. The drug court judges, and they don't get more money for doing that, and it's a lot more extra time and effort, believe me. But it's what the courts should be doing. Y'all, when I became Chief Justice, we had 14 active drug courts. After 4.5 years when I retired, we had drug courts in 66 of 67 counties and had almost 100 veterans treatment courts, mental health courts, and model drug courts. And what that did y'all know that today, because of drug courts, because of a lot of the sentencing proposals that I made a part of my sentencing reform package in 2010 and that went for the legislature in 2011. Some of those bills since have been passed. As a result of all of these efforts, the Juvenile Justice Reform Act, everything we've done, there was 27,000 people behind bars. There's now right at 20.
And I know
Now, it's still overcrowded, and it's still underfunded.
It's a process.
And the prisons are decaying and they're decrepit, and it's wrong. But mega prisons in the answer.
So do you have a plan for, what are they calling it? The OAA, what's the second chance? Once they come out, do you have any plans for people who...
Reentry.
Reentry
Is huge.
Yeah,
Reentry is one of the most significant ways to reduce recidivism.
Right.
is one of the most significant ways. What I want to do is really tackle sentencing reform again. Is look at our drug laws, but a number of our drug laws are just out of step with the rest of the nation. And if someone, what I really want is if someone is a nonviolent offender and is under the influence of drugs, I would like a law in Alabama that says that they must be given the opportunity for long-term, quality, low-cost drug treatment first before they can be incarcerated. Now, this is non-violent, drug-addicted offenders. And the way to do that, that would be a way for us to be able to use some of our community hospitals, out in the communities where they don't, so many, they don't have any resources. They don't have drug treatment. They don't even have outpatient. But that would be one way we could use our community hospitals.
And also old schools. You can reform the schools. Yeah.
We could. We've just got to, I get back to fixing people rather than filling prisons.
Absolutely.
Just because we've always done it that way doesn't mean that's the way we've got to continue doing it because it wasn't working. But then y'all talked about reentry. You have to invest in parole officers. Now, I can tell you the inmates would not like it, but I want a change of our law that says that no inmate can EOS in prison. Do y'all know what that means?
End of sentence.
End of sentence. Mm-hmm. That no prisoner can EOS in the institution. That they have to have at least 6 months of supervision following, and that's making sure they're getting a job, making sure they're drug tested. Y'all, there's so many drugs in
I
prison.
actually like that, though.
And it works.
Yeah.
Other states have it, and it works. It works.
Now, let's say that again. No EOS without...
In prison. No one can end their sentence in prison. That they have to be released 6 months before the end of their sentence so that they can be supervised and then brought back in and re-entered into society. And have y'all had a chance to go to the wonderful program that's in Shelby County in Columbiana? And they've changed the name of it, but it's like community... I cannot think of the name of it, but it is y'all must go out there and see that program. Yeah. They take inmates that are toward the end of their sentence, like a year or two in the end of their sentence. And this should be fully funded. The funding is just minuscule for it.
Just in Columbiana, right?
In Columbiana, and we need to look up what the name of it is. It's like Community Correctional Educational Center or something like that. And they teach them skills. They put them in street clothes. They talk to them about healthy ways to use their off time. For instance, some of these guys, and ladies too, don't know you actually can have a good time without alcohol.
You really can.
Right? You really can.
You really can.
There's really a lot of things you can do out there that's a lot of fun. And you can go fishing without alcohol, Now, you can do these things.
That's like against the law. I'm sorry, Joe.
But basically, it's trying to help them find ways to use, because so many folks that are in prison, y'all, are there because of drug and alcohol issues, right?
Absolutely.
They can't drink 1 beer or 2 beers. And so it's the fact that they're understanding that there's nothing in life that relapse won't make worse. And if you go to the center, which is the concept of that is so much of what I want in every single correctional setting. There's signs on every wall that say there's no place that you can go that you won't be in the center of God's love. There'll be another sign that says, be kind to everyone. There's another sign that says, it's just inspirational.
Right.
Every wall space, this center has an inspirational, like I said about there's nothing in life that relapse won't make worse. That is from that center. And it's that constant, keeping your mind on the things that help us be better human beings. That's what that center is about. Well, that's what our correctional system should be. Our correctional officers deserve medal to even go in these prisons.
Columbiana
but
Treatment Center.
There is still significant...
Treatment Center?
Thank you. Columbiana Treatment Center.
Got it.
Columbiana Treatment Center.
Gotta love money, man.
Thank you. The correctional setting means that we're really trying to fix the issues, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what so much of our correctional system doesn't have. I call it competency development. You know, that when you're putting somebody in prison, that you're wanting to protect the community. So if it's a violent situation, obviously they've got to be locked up, right? We got to protect the community. If it's accountability, we want to make sure that, you know, that they're held accountable, that they pay restitution, that they pay, you know, fines and costs. If there's punishment, obviously, we want them to be punished because we don't want them to reoffend.
Absolutely.
But what we've left out in Alabama, because we haven't funded our correctional system, is competency development. Okay. So when Sue Bell Cobb becomes elected, thanks to your listeners, we are going to have drug treatment, which we don't have now. We're going to have work release. We're going to have community corrections in every county and city. We're going to have programs so that, you know, you don't have to be sent off and locked up. Yeah. You can stay in your community. You can pay off your sentence. You can be held accountable. You can work. You can.
We got work for them to do too.
That's right.
Yeah, we really do.
Our producers today asked if they could ask a question. Do anyone of them have a question, Julia or Joshua?
Sure.
No, you personal. Joshua want to ask a question.
I got one before we start.
Go ahead, Joshua. Ask your question, sir.
James got it.
Okay.
I got one before we start. Here in Jefferson County,
yes, sir.
The stadium is like the talk of the town. What is your opinion on the stadium here in Birmingham?
And I'm not trying to be evasive. I went to Magic City Classic.
Right. I saw you there.
I went to Magic City Classic, and it was great. Boy, y'all
a big party.
know how to have a good time.
You should have came to the RV then.
I wish y'all really show up Alabama and Auburn. I mean, y'all get that right.
All right.
Y'all show them up.
Right.
So it's clear that there's work that's got to be done.
Right.
It's clear there's work that's got to be done. What I'm convinced, and I'm not trying to be evasive, I really am not.
Gotcha.
If we can get some of these things done that I've just been talking about, I am just convinced that people are going to start believing that, you know what, she said she was going to make the lottery happen, and she said it was going to create these jobs.
Right.
She made the lottery happen. The money was spent like she said it was going to be spent. It created jobs. Now, I'll be honest. I believe that we've got to have a modest increase in fuel tax so that we can fix our roads and bridges. But when they see that, that's jobs too, y'all.
Yeah.
That's going to be jobs too in every single county. That is going to be extra money into education trust fund. I believe that people are, I hope my prayer is that people are really going to start believing in government again, you know, so that we can invest in ourselves.
Right.
And that's what we're not doing. So I would love to work with y'all's wonderful new mayor,
right.
you know, and really become more knowledgeable of the issues, because I can tell you this, I love Birmingham.
Right.
I love Birmingham. Now I'm going to be honest. I don't always like driving through Birmingham.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of those parking lots.
Yeah.
Are y'all?
Yeah, absolutely.
On that I-65?
I do it every morning on
Friday.
This is every day.
So I want to help y'all with
Yeah,
that.
that's every day.
But I want to help you on your other issues too.
Right.
I want to join with Mayor Woodfin and do anything and everything that I can to make life better for people in Birmingham. Right. And that we truly will become competitive in every respect with Nashville and Atlanta.
And that's the only reason why I brought that up, because, you know, we have this three levels of city, county, state, and we got to work together to make the state. Because the World Games are coming here. That's reflective of the state, not just Birmingham. It's reflective of the state.
Absolutely.
So if you win, when you win, what can...
Oh, you predicting?
I don't know. I don't.
Sounds
Y'all got me
good.
Don't put that on me. Don't do it, because y'all get me in trouble.
Tell secrets. That's
Tell secrets. What can NNP, not necessarily political, with James Williams and Lonnie Malone, do for you?
Let me keep coming back.
Definitely.
Let me keep coming back, and I mean that sincerely. I'm not just saying it.
So when you hear Aunt Sue, you know it's me. I'm like, Aunt Sue. All right.
All folks call me Sue Bell, but honey, I'll go by anything.
Yeah, go ahead, Aunt Sue.
Is because we've got to keep people involved. Let me tell you what I think our biggest problem is. We have not held our legislators accountable, whether they're Republicans or Democrats. We have not held them accountable. I'm pledging to you and all of your listeners that my 4 years is going to be spent holding them accountable, is going to them with proposals that are going to change Alabama forever, change our image, change our quality of life, make things better for women and children and families, and all of us every single one of us, men and women, no matter who we look like. But I can't hold the legislators accountable without shows just like yours. This is how we hold them accountable. This is how they begin to realize, you know what, I can't just go down to Montgomery and just do whatever that lobbyist tells me to do. Just because he gave me a campaign contribution, I just go do what he says. No. I promise you, if they don't do what I truly believe is in the best interest of your listeners and the people of Jefferson County, I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you why I think they're not doing it.
I love it.
You just imagine every month or quarter we get something from the governor talking about the citizens.
Everybody that's listening also, February 19th, we are having the Governor's Forum, and Ms. Cobb, you're coming, right?
Great, I'm going to be there.
We're letting everybody know
Right.
that she is confirmed, so you guys make sure you're there. You get a chance to meet her like we are one-on-one. I think they're going to enjoy it.
Actually, 2 questions if you
Got
want to.
Yeah.
Then we let her
The first
finish up.
question that is given wants to know what's your take on home rule?
Thank you for
That
asking
was
me
nice.
that
I was
question.
sliding that in. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Home rule is desperately needed in Alabama. And it's one of the most arcane parts of the Alabama Constitution. Is the fact that you have to go to Montgomery every time you need anything.
Absolutely.
That is
1901.
holding us back. That is holding us back. When Montgomery and the legislature decides to basically prevent the city of Birmingham from raising its minimum wage, that's a perfect example, of why home rule is so important.
Right.
It should be that government works best closest to the people.
I would think.
Right.
It says all politics is local,
Absolutely.
Right.
And there it is. So you get back into accountability. The folks that are closer to you, your city councilmen, your county commissioners are more accountable because they're here with you all
Right.
day in, day out.
Right.
So I absolutely am a huge advocate of home rule.
Sounds good to me. Hey, I hate to wrap up.
Do you let her finish out or say what you want to say?
Definitely. That's how we do it.
Question.
You got one before we go? Last one. We're out of here.
Too late.
I'm trying to make sure I read
You gonna miss it.
You messed up.
As
Reading is fundamental.
governor, and as a Democrat, will you be able to put structure to the party? Will you be able to work with the leadership of the Democratic Party for Alabama and put structure?
I absolutely can. I am a Democrat, and I'm willing to work with anybody and everybody that wants to make Alabama a better state. But I'm going to be honest, I won't, and I'm encouraging folks to run so that we, that we have folks that we need our Democrat Party to look like Alabama.
Absolutely.
And that every single group of Alabama is represented. But I will work, and I'm going to become involved. And the reason is that we've got to have a viable two-party state.
Yes.
We haven't had that. I want to commend Representative Anthony Daniels for the part that he's playing in trying to recruit and make sure that we've got great candidates running. And I'm doing everything I can to help him. So we want folks running. I want to encourage your listeners. Anybody who wants to run for the Democratic Executive Committee, anybody wants to run for any office, that's what we've got to have. That's what democracy is.
Right.
Democracy is offering yourself for public service. And it is indeed a public service.
Right.
It is indeed a public service. But Alabama needs interested, engaged, informed citizens who are willing to get involved and help make us everything that we could be. My goal, Alabama, the envy of the South. And that's and that's not necessarily political.
Hey.
I like it. We hate to go. Our time is up, man. One of the best interviews I think we've had in a
Yes.
while.
Yes.
And really just thoroughly enjoyed you.
Thank you.
Anytime, you're welcome back.
Thank you so much, James.
You're welcome.
Lonnie, thank you so much.
Anytime. Do you want to say anything while you go out? Or?
Only that I really do love the show, and I love the name of it. Not necessarily political.
Yeah.
It's just the right thing to do for the right reasons.
For the right reasons.
That's it.
Right. You want to?
No,
You
go
close it out. Go ahead.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a great interview.
Quit working me all the time.
We had a candidate here who talked about second chances. We've talked about first chances with children from K4. That's very exciting because, like I said, I have getting ready to be a 4-year-old on February 11th. We share the same day. I'm really excited about that because my boys actually love school. You had a chance to talk about jobs. What's something that we need right now? You're talking about working bipartisan to where you're going to get something done. I'm going to hold you to that. I heard you some things you said. And Aunt Sue, we're going to look at you.
Coin the phrase, put it on the thing.
Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for giving our humble show a chance because we don't take lightly that we have somebody of your caliber here, somebody who is proven from 25, who is willing to go from judge, to go from chief justice, to running
come see our
little simple story.
Right.
We appreciate that. We really look at that. And as we give everybody a chance, whenever you need us, whenever you want to talk, you reach out and we'll do impromptu shows. Matter of fact, people look for our impromptu shows like they do on Sundays. So anytime you need us.
Publix or something, we're like, Aunt Sue, hold it. So when you hear that, you know it's me, all right? Just keep that in mind. I'll be like,
I got it.
We look forward to this race. I think this is going to be a really good governor's race. We got 4 good candidates, and so far 4 people who say they love the state of Alabama. Right. And we're looking. We're with you when you're right, and we acknowledge when you're wrong.
Well, we can say this. I'm with you when you're wrong, but I'm going to chastise you.
Exactly. That's
because mama with you, baby. You know,
we
mama
with
you, but she chastise you. And that's what we believe here. We're never 100% right. What person on this earth walks around?
Nobody has all the answers.
And we will never agree on everything.
Right.
But
and we'll never attack you personally.
But we can agree to be disagreeable, and we're not attacking you personal. This is our job to keep people informed. So it's not. That's why even with the forum that's coming, we tell everyone this is going to be positive. You're going to enjoy it for a change. We're going to laugh. We're going to enjoy being in politics. That's like an oxymoron, right? Enjoy being in politics.
Exactly. Right? Positive politics.
Thank you so much. I don't know if I've enjoyed the interview more.
Thank you. So we're going to close out, James.
Man, Godspeed. We'll see you guys next Sunday. Next Sunday is
actually Sherry Gardner. She is currently school board president, but she is running for the county clerk of Birmingham, right? Jefferson County. Good. So we're looking forward to that interview. And on February the 4th, we're going to have gubernatorial candidate Anthony White. Right. And so thanks for everybody coming out, and God bless. Peace. Thanks for going with us.
Okay. So,
mics are still hot. They're off. Now Facebook is still live, so if you want to finish up something like that.
Interview, man.
Thank you.
No, you tell us about your book real quick, please. We're still live, so yeah, tell us about your book. It's really cool.
I need to record her doing the drop real quick.
Okay, let her do the book because she was supposed to do that during the interview.
Well, I'm sorry, y'all. I wrote a book, There Must Be a Witness, and it's about child advocacy and about being engaged citizens, and it tells my story of why I can't let go of child advocacy. When you read the book, you're going to understand fully and completely why that I'm running for governor. Even though I don't talk about running for governor in the book because that's not what it's about. It truly is trying to educate citizens that if you care about your family, you care about your community, you're going to be an outspoken child advocate.
And again, what do you need help with? Go the name first.
And the name, I'm sorry, Lonnie. There Must Be a Witness. And
There Must Be a Witness by Sue Bell Cobb.
New South Books. They can go on the website for New South Books and get it there.
There Must Be a Witness, Sue Bell Cobb's stories of abuse, advocacy, and the fight to put children first. And where it is again? What's this?
New South Books.
New South Books.
And it will be on Amazon in the spring.
Definitely, you definitely need to get that on there.
Next month or two.
Now,
can we put it on the site?
Yes.
One more question: what can we do to help you with your organization?
Children First.
Children First.
Children First. Go on AlabamaChildrenFirst.com, and there's a place to connect. We have a lobbyist that represents us for the children full time at the legislature, named Ms. Christy Kane DeGraff and Reed. And anytime anybody wanted to go down to the legislature and hang out with her, that maybe knows some legislators, would like to become more knowledgeable of it, is to contact and then literally we need volunteers. We always need money. If anybody wants to have a bake sale or raise money for us, we're always, because we pay for another, the Franklin Resource Group, a significant lobbying group, plus we have Christy that works just for children's issues. For instance, the daycare bill, the bill that Representative Pamela Warren sponsored in the House, that it almost passed, but it didn't, and it was basically saying that regulations should apply to all child care, even if they're church related, and it failed last year. That's one of our bills that we're supporting. Okay. There's bills like anything that has a positive impact on kids.
Okay. And before we close out, Tara Foster actually provided that information on the center and everything else. She has a couple of different sites she put on here, so she's working for you.
Wonderful.
Even behind the scenes.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you. She's wonderful.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is ending our Facebook Live portion. Thank you for joining us again. Comebacks, Not Necessarily Political with James Williams, Lonnie Malone. On Instagram, it's Not Necessarily Political with James Williams, Lonnie Malone. On YouTube, it's Not Necessarily Political with James Williams and Lonnie Malone. And let the boss is trying to tell me to change it around here.
Lonnie's popular, isn't he?
Anywho, if you want to get on the show, get information about the VIP for the February 19th information, email us at notnecessarypolitical@gmail.com.
Please email them.
Please email us a request if you want to be on the show for all your 2018 candidates. Twitter is necessarily not, and YouTube. But at Facebook Live is at Not Necessarily Political at Jane Williams, Lonnie Malone. Thank you all, and have a great day. I put the book on the page. Go ahead, Tara. Come work for me, Tara, because this guy right here, he's here.
On the page.
We'll be fired in probably about 30 minutes. Thank
I
you
get
all,
fired
y'all.
every week.